It's beat up on Bill Belichick week. I've often said that about social media. Nobody has the actual courage to go at the tsunami or the avalanche. They just jump on board and bury people. So this week we beat up on Belichick because he's no good. And Tom Brady won the divorce. And we all kind of know quarterbacks, if they're great, are more valuable than coaches. Pete Carroll got fired a bunch of times. Then he got Russell Wilson. And now Pete Carroll's going to be a Hall of Famer. That is not to say Pete Carroll doesn't matter. But Mike Tomlin won a lot more games when Big Ben wasn't wobbling all over the field like an old man. And Sean Payton won a Super Bowl when Drew Brees was closer to his prime than at the end. We know that quarterbacks matter more than coaches. You know, what's the split? 60-40, 70-30, whatevs. But it's beat up on Belichick week because Brady's had so much enormous success. But it should be noted, Bill's the best football coach ever. Ask his peers. Ask Sean McVay. Ask Mike or Kyle Shanahan. Ask Parcells. Ask Jimmy Johnson. I have multiple times. Ask Tom Brady. Just think about this. Think about dynasties in a sport where the average player lasts 4 to 4.5 years. So dynasties are hard in football because guys get hurt. Vince Lombardi's was 7 years, 60 to 67. Bill Walsh, 7 years. Chuck Noll, 7 years. Belichick's like, bruh, triple it. But that's all Brady. We know that's not true. Here's 6 things to remember in Beat Up Bill Belichick week about the greatest football coach of all time. Number 1, he drafted him. Nobody else did. Bill saw it and drafted him. Number 2, he identified very early, read the books on Belichick, Brady's willfulness, his work ethic, his leadership. Number 3, he didn't rush Tom Brady. Look at the Jets right now. He slowly, smartly built around Brady. Number 4, he equipped him throughout his career with Moss, Welker, Edelman. And you know what all of them came at? Under market value. He didn't have to break up the team to get Moss or Gronk or Welker or Edelman. Either they got him in good trades that benefited Brady. They didn't have to give up an offensive lineman and draft picks to get him. Here's another thing Bill did in Beat Up on Bill Belichick week. He hired brilliant coordinators. Brady never had a miss at coordinator. Every great quarterback, Troy Aikman got stuck with Barry Switzer. Aaron Rodgers got stuck with McCarthy. Brady never even got a bad coordinator in New England. And oh yeah, this matters sort of. In the biggest games, Bill Belichick often outcoached, outsmarted, outdueled great coaches. McVay, Tomlin, Pete Carroll, Dungy, Hall of Fame guys, out-schemed him. Tom didn't have to compensate for his coach, outperform. Tom's never thrown a first quarter touchdown in the Super Bowl. He's never needed to. He never had to play with a huge league. You know, I've said this about presidents. You never get credit for the chaos you avoid. Didn't have any. There was no chaos for 20 years. Garoppolo, not really chaos. You're going to write books and there's going to be disagreements. New England had Deflategate, that's league imploded, Spygate, but didn't really affect Brady's performance. Brady was a better quarterback, look it up, after Deflategate than before it. You don't get credit for the chaos. They didn't have chaos at coordinator. They didn't give up the farm to get Randy Moss or a Wes Welker. They always got the right coach. They always had the best offensive line. They always had a top 10 defense. I love Brady. He's connected to my brand because I talked about him almost every day for 20 years. But Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, and Russell Wilson would all have more Super Bowls if Belichick was their coach. And Aaron has told people privately that. Peyton Manning probably has. Russell Wilson knows it. I'm not saying they'd have as many as Tommy, but they'd have more. You don't think Aaron Rodgers would have more Super Bowls than Belichick? You're out of your gourd. That defense, Aaron's had one great defense in his career. He won a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning's first Colts win. It was his best defense. Ask Bill Polian. So you can beat up on Belichick all you want. He tripled Lombardi, Walsh, Noll. Tripled them in a sport, by the way, of player empowerment. Bill was so smart that he got players to take pay cuts. Like in the NBA, injuries rarely end your career. Baseball, not that much. Football happens every day. And Bill got all these players through the years. Just take less. What? Football player take less? He got the greatest football player to take less for over a decade. Yeah. That guy over that shoulder you're watching on TV right there, he's the best ever. All right. A lot of rookie quarterbacks are playing. There is one that is not. Trey Lance. And he's the only rookie quarterback everybody still loves. I'm hearing people snipe at Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and Mac Jones. Woo! Last weekend was bad. It was embarrassing. And the one quarterback, the rookie that we're all like, whoo, Trey Lance, touchdown pass, touchdown run. He's not playing. Kyle Shanahan talked about we don't have a quarterback controversy. This is something I think is important, even in my career and perhaps yours. Ugly losses leave shrapnel. They don't just end when the game ends. People talk about them. They stew about them. They get embedded in your head. You start doubting teammates, doubting coordinators, doubting people. That Justin Fields loss was so ugly, you question the coach. You question the playbook. You question the general manager. I'm reading Jet fans who a month ago were hailing Robert Saleh as Elon Musk with a playbook. Now I read, is he over his head? Their coordinator has got to go. You know, Joe Douglas, how many years do you get with this offensive line? Owners all say they're patient. In the history of the league, there's never been a single patient NFL owner. Oh, my bad, there is one, the Packers, because they don't actually have one. Playing a rookie and having him unravel is going to create chaos because an impatient billionaire upstairs is going to get bad press about that baby he owns, and he's going to question, all these billionaires have one thing in common, egos, and they don't like to be embarrassed. And the Jets just got shut out. And Trevor Lawrence, is throwing bad picks. And Justin Fields. And, oh, my God, my coach. And it tears at the fabric of the building. How do you think that flight home was for the Jets last week? How do you think practice was Tuesday for the Bears? Even in my business, I see networks, one I used to work for, make this mistake. They find young talent and give them their own show. And then it doesn't work, and the young talent leaves because you put way too much on their table. Instead of finding a young talent, grooming them, making them a 3 for 2 years and then a 2 for 4 years, and then maybe they get their show. And there's this winning over and over. Not overwhelmed, not giving them this, not giving them that. It's the slow build, the slow momentum. Losses do not end when the game ends. Billionaires start questioning their coordinators and coaches. And coaches now have pressure. They coach differently. And Matt Nagy right now is blaming himself. We're all blaming the GM. Here's what we all know about young quarterbacks. They can't overcome chaos. Unless you're Andrew Luck. It was like one a decade, okay? So they can't overcome. Even Justin Herbert's great. Couldn't win last year. Offensive line, coaching. So how do you avoid chaos? Keeping the same coach and the same playbook and the same coordinator and the same GM and the same voice and the same system, which doesn't happen when you go 2-14. If the Jets go 2 and 17 games now, 2-15, the coordinator's getting fired. Zach Wilson, second year, new playbook. Hard enough going up against Brian Flores, going up against Bill Belichick, Sean McDermott. Up, second year, new playbook. Guarantee you the coordinator's getting fired. Offensive coordinator's out. By the way, Matt Nagy, who wanted to play Dalton, feels pressure. He probably going to be out too. And that means Justin Fields on his second coach, second system. Now, sometimes it worked. Goff got McVay over Jeff Fisher. But a lot of times it doesn't. You and I all know this. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but what's the percentage of head coaches hired that are hits? I'm guessing 50%. I have no idea, but it feels lower than that. It feels like the great coaches in the league, 7 of the top 8 outside like McVay, have been around forever, meaning most of the new coaches don't work. They get fired. So the only quarterback, this thing about this idea that just, you know what, it's about the future. Nonsense. It's about winning today. Because those flights home and those practices and people start protecting their careers and they start picking sides in locker rooms and coordinators start working on their resume 13 games into a season because they know they're in trouble and they all read the papers and the talk radio and people are talking and winning matters. And the only quarterback today we still think 100% highly of is the one that's not playing or plays infrequently. In fact, he had a play the other night, ran around, threw it in the dirt. So what? We still love him. It does matter. And I do think owners always say they're patient. Billionaires aren't patient. None of them, ever. Packers have the only patient owner, the fans. I mean, that's it. In the history of the NFL. I've been told that by coaches. I've been told that by GMs. No billionaire wants to get embarrassed. Last week, the Jets were embarrassed. Be very careful about putting young people in spaces where it's virtually impossible for them to succeed. I've seen it in my space, my career. Slow, steady, lack of chaos, from a number 3 to a number 2 to a number 1. Almost always is the right answer. Almost always. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.